The International Powerlifting Federation, or IPF, is the leading global organization for the sport of powerlifting. It sets the standards for competition and aims to promote fair play. However, the rule, Article 14, has sparked significant debate within the powerlifting community. This rule places restrictions on athletes and coaches who participate in events not recognized by the World Anti-Doping Agency, commonly known as WADA. Article 14 has become a point of contention. Critics argue it stifles competition and limits athlete opportunities. This essay will delve into the specifics of Article 14. It will examine its impact on athletes, coaches, and the sport as a whole. Understanding the implications of Article 14 is crucial for anyone involved in powerlifting. This includes athletes, coaches, officials, and fans. We will explore the arguments for and against this controversial rule. Ultimately, the goal is to provide a comprehensive overview of Article 14 and its potential consequences. Article 14 imposes strict eligibility restrictions on athletes and coaches. Those who participate in non-WADA recognized events face consequences. They can be barred from competing in IPF events for a period of 12 to 24 months. This means they cannot participate in any competition sanctioned by the IPF or its affiliates. The rule applies to athletes of all levels, including those aspiring to compete internationally. Coaches are also subject to these restrictions. A coach who participates in a non-WADA recognized event could be prohibited from coaching athletes in IPF competitions. The rationale behind Article 14 is to uphold fair play and a level playing field. The IPF argues that non-WADA recognized events may not adhere to the same strict anti-doping standards. This could give athletes who participate in these events an unfair advantage. However, critics of the rule argue that it is overly restrictive and punishes athletes who may have limited competition options. The 12 to 24-month ban is seen as excessive by many. They argue that it could jeopardize an athlete's entire career. The IPF's Anti-Doping Commission plays a significant role in the enforcement of Article 14. This commission has the authority to investigate potential violations of the rule. They can also impose sanctions, including extending ineligibility periods. The Commission operates independently within the IPF. They are responsible for developing and implementing anti-doping policies. This includes the interpretation and enforcement of Article 14. Proponents of the rule argue that the Anti-Doping Commission plays a vital role in safeguarding the integrity of the sport. They believe that the Commission's ability to extend bans is necessary to deter athletes from participating in non-WADA recognized events. However, critics argue that the Commission's power is too broad and lacks transparency. They point to instances where the Commission has extended bans without clear justification. This lack of transparency has led to accusations of arbitrariness and unfair treatment of athletes. To understand the impact of Article 14, let's consider a hypothetical example involving the USPA. This is a prominent federation in the United States that is not currently an IPF affiliate. Imagine a rising star in Sarah who dreams of competing at the international level. However, because USPA is not an IPF affiliate, Sarah is prohibited from competing in any IPF events. This puts Sarah in a difficult position. She must choose between continuing to compete in USPA, where she has built a reputation, or giving up her dream of international competition with the IPF. This example illustrates the dilemma faced by many athletes in non-WADA recognized federations. Article 14 effectively forces them to choose between competing in their preferred federation or pursuing international recognition with the IPF. Section 5. Unveiling the business behind the curtain, IPF's strategic play. While the IPF maintains that Article 14 is primarily about upholding anti-doping standards, some critics argue that there are underlying business motivations at play. They suggest that the rule is a strategic move by the IPF to consolidate its power and control within the sport. By restricting athletes from competing in non-WADA recognized events, the IPF effectively limits the growth and influence of these federations. This consolidation of power could have significant financial implications. It could lead to increased sponsorship opportunities and revenue streams for the IPF and its affiliates. Critics argue that this focus on business interests comes at the expense of athletes. They believe that the IPF is prioritizing its own financial gain over the well-being and opportunities of the athletes it claims to represent. Section 6. The human cost of control, athletes and coaches bear the brunt. The impact of Article 14 on athletes and coaches is undeniable. For athletes, it limits their competition options and can hinder their development. Coaches face similar restrictions. This can impact their ability to earn a living and contribute to the sport. The rule creates a sense of division within the powerlifting community. It pits athletes and coaches against each other and against the governing bodies, and this division can be detrimental to the growth and camaraderie of the sport. Many argue that Article 14 stifles competition and innovation in powerlifting. By limiting the exchange of ideas and training methodologies, the rule could hinder the overall progress of the sport. Section 7. A level playing field or a monopoly, the fairness debate. The IPF argues that Article 14 is necessary to maintain a level playing field and ensure fair competition. However, critics question the fairness of a rule that restricts athletes from participating in certain events without clear evidence of wrongdoing. They argue that the burden of proof should be on the IPF to demonstrate that athletes competing in non-WADA recognized events are gaining an unfair advantage. Without such evidence, the rule appears to be based on speculation and prejudice rather than concrete facts. The lack of transparency in the decision-making process of the Anti-Doping Commission further fuels concerns about fairness. The Commission's ability to extend bans without clear justification raises questions about due process and the rights of athletes. Section 8. The future of powerlifting collaboration or conflict. The controversy surrounding Article 14 highlights a larger issue within powerlifting, the lack of unity and collaboration among different federations. The sport remains fragmented, with multiple organizations operating under different rules and regulations. This lack of unity is detrimental to the growth and recognition of powerlifting as a legitimate sport. It creates confusion among athletes and fans and makes it difficult to establish a cohesive global standard. Moving forward, it is essential for the IPF and other powerlifting federations to engage in open and constructive dialogue. The goal should be to find common ground and work towards a more unified and inclusive sport. Section 9. Finding common ground, a path forward for the sport. Finding a solution that addresses the concerns of both the IPF and the wider powerlifting community is crucial. This requires open dialogue, compromise, and a willingness to prioritize the best interests of the sport and its athletes. One potential solution could involve the establishment of a standardized anti-doping program that is recognized by all major powerlifting federations. This would ensure a level playing field while also allowing athletes greater freedom to compete in events of their choosing. Another option could be for the IPF to reconsider the severity of the sanctions imposed under Article 14. Reducing the ban period or implementing a more lenient approach for first-time offenders could be a step towards a more balanced approach. As Section 10, your voice matters. Advocating for change in powerlifting. As an athlete, coach, or fan of powerlifting, your voice matters. It is important to stay informed about the issues affecting the sport and to advocate for change when necessary. Engage in constructive dialogue with fellow athletes, coaches, and officials. Share your thoughts and concerns about Article 14 and its impact on the powerlifting community. Support athletes who are affected by the rule and call for greater transparency and accountability from the IPF and its Anti-Doping Commission. Section 11. Conclusion. Striking a balance between integrity and opportunity. The controversy surrounding Article 14 highlights the delicate balance between upholding the integrity of a sport and providing athletes with opportunities to compete and excel. While the IPF's goal of maintaining a level playing field is commendable, the current implementation of Article 14 raises concerns about fairness, transparency, and the overall impact on the powerlifting community. Finding a solution that addresses these concerns will require collaboration, compromise, and a genuine commitment to prioritizing the best interests of the sport and its athletes. Only through open dialogue and a willingness to listen to all voices can lifting move forward as a unified and thriving sport.